This is a message to people who abuse their partners. This might sound familiar. You brought this on yourself. We've all heard that one before. You're worth nothing. Remember that one? You know it's your own fault, don't you? And this one's my favourite. You're going to get what's coming to you.
Violence against women. Some wounds can't be healed with bandages.
Women Act Against Violence. Now, why this topic? Because any type of violence is illegal. We initiated with this topic is because violence against women, particularly intimate partner and sexual violence, is a major public and clinical health issues as well as violation of their human rights. Gender stereotypes and inequalities are ingrained in and propagated by it. In their lifetime, about 1 in 3 women will be subjected to physical and or sexual assault, the majority of which will be committed by an intimate partner. This serves a stark reminder of the extent to which women faces sexism and gender inequality. And most importantly, there are many misconceptions about violence against women, like how and why it happens. To be effective in our response to violence against women and their children, we must concern and correct these myths. Physical violence against women is not only the form of violence against women. It encompasses all forms of violences, including sexual, mental, psychological, and financial. On an international level, the United Nations Declaration on the Elimination of Violence Against Women provides the following definition. The term of violence against women means any act of gender-based violence that results in or is likely to result in physical, sexual, or psychological harm or suffering to women, including threats of such acts, coercion or deprivation of liberty, whether occurring in public or private life. What is Women Act Against Violence? Now, yes. The Act aims to end domestic abuse, dating violence, sexual harassment, and stalking against women by collaborating with government and non-government organizations. By doubling federal penalties for repeat sex offenders, the bill also creates legislative room for changes to the criminal and civil justice system. Enactment of Women Acts Against Violence grants the states for initiatives that eliminate violence against women or offers assistance to those who have been victimized of this kind of violences. Laws about violence against women gives additional support to the women and the families affected by the violences.
Don't ignore the signs, because what you don't know and what you don't hear can hurt them.
Hello, my name is Jovita and Kumar, metric number 281276. The subject of my talk is domestic violence is a major contributor to the ill health of women. Violence against women can cause long-term physical and mental health problems. Violence and abuse affect not just the women involved, but also their children, families, and communities. So first, what are the short-term physical effects of violence against women? The short-term physical effects of violence can include minor injuries or serious conditions. They can include bruises, cuts, broken bones, or injuries to organs and other parts inside of the victim's body. Some physical injuries are difficult or impossible to see without scans, X-ray, or other tests done by doctors or nurses. Short-term physical effects of sexual violence can include vaginal bleeding or pelvic pain, unwanted pregnancy, sexually transmitted infections, trouble sleeping, or nightmares. If the victim is a pregnant woman, a physical injury can hurt the victim and the unborn child. Let's move on to the long-term physical effects of violence against women. Violence against women, including sexual or physical violence, is linked to many long-term health problems. These can include asthma, chronic pain, digestive problems such as stomach ulcer, heart problem, irritable bowel syndrome, nightmares and sleeping problems, migraine, headaches, sexual problem, stress, and problem with immune system. Finally, let's talk about long-term mental health problem. Many women also have mental health problems after violence. If the victim have experienced a physical or sexual assault, they may feel many emotions such as fear, confusion, anger, or even being numb and not feeling much of anything. They may feel guilt or shame over being assaulted. Some people try to minimize the abuse or hide it by covering bruises and making excuses for the abuser. Long-term mental health effects of violence against women includes post-traumatic stress disorder, depression, and also anxiety. Other effects can include shutting people out, not wanting to do things once enjoyed, not being able to trust others, and having low self-esteem. If you have been physically or sexually assaulted or abused, know that it's not your fault. Getting help for assault or abuse can help prevent long-term mental health effects and other health problems.
Wow, I'm glad you're here. I just found out that one of my best friends was in an abusive relationship for so long, and none of us knew anything about it. I'm heartbroken. I thought we told each other everything. Maybe if I had spoken up, she would have talked to me about it sooner. So, here goes.
Intimate partner violence, sometimes called teen dating violence or domestic violence, is a pattern of behaviors used by one partner to maintain power and control over another partner in an intimate relationship. An intimate partner is a person's boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, partner, or lover. Intimate partner violence may include different kinds of abuse. Physical abuse may include hitting, kicking, punching, or other kinds of physical violence. Emotional abuse may not include physical violence, but it can be equally as harmful. When someone is abused emotionally, they may be called names, humiliated, yelled at, or made to feel intimidated. The abuser may try to control the other person by telling them what to do, what to wear, or where they can and cannot go. Financial abuse is when a person tries to control and limit their partner's access to money so that the partner will be dependent on them. One example would be if the person discouraged or disallowed the partner to work and make their own money. Another is if the person takes the partner's money or credit cards and refuses to give them back. Another form of abuse is known as stalking and harassment. Stalking or harassing someone may include spying on them or following them around and constantly showing up where they are or refusing to leave when asked. Stalking also can include sending harassing or unwanted emails, texts, or posts. Finally, there is partner abuse that involves sexual abuse. This type of violence is when a person forces their partner to participate in sexual acts or behaviors without their consent or ignores the partner's sexual boundaries. Just because a person is in an intimate relationship with someone doesn't mean that they must have sex with them or do sexual things that they find uncomfortable or demeaning.
We have seen through information concerning the definition and sorts of violence against women, as well as the introduction to the Women Act Against Violence. Now, we've arrived to the core of our discussion, the importance of Women Act Against Violence. First and foremost, under the legislation, women are well protected from economical violence. Okay, in late 1980s, the word economic violence was coined. Economic violence means restricting a woman's right to obtain, use, and maintain economic capital, putting her financial stability and self sufficiency at risk. Economic exploitation is a power tool for manipulating, dominating, and controlling an individual in order to encourage dependency or financially abuse them. Economic abuse aims to make the victim economically dependent on the attacker. It happens when the perpetrator's financial resources are fully under influence. That is when the abuser has complete control of the victim's money and other financial assets or activities. As a result, victims' economical self sufficiency and efficiency are harmed, and women have become completely reliant on men for their most basic needs and satisfactions. The enactment of Women Act against violence will prevent economic violence against women, where it ensures interdependency. Mutual dependence differ from interdependence in that mutual dependence renders a woman vulnerable, whereas interdependence strengthens her. The act would empower victims, especially low-income women who are lack of financial means to begin a new life for themselves and for their children as well. With more than enough resources, women would be able to live independently and avoid returning to an abusive situation again. The abuser's objective of establishing and retaining power may be defeated by ensuring freedom. Interventions will be carefully planned with security at the forefront as well in Women Act Against Violence.
Good day everyone, my name is Monisha, matrix number is 282068. Today I want to share you about another importance of Women Act Against Violence. The idea is expand victim assistance services. Despite the obligation of the civil rights remedy, Women Act Against Violence will greatly expand the programs for victims of sexual, domestic, and stalking abuse, as well as education and trainings for the victims' advocates, prosecutors, health practitioners, law enforcement, and judges on violence against women. The Women Act Against Violence also include provisions such as prohibiting the states from charging rape victims for forensic sexual assault tests and criminalizing stalking through electronic surveillance. Women Act Against Violence aims to strengthen criminal justice response to domestic violence and expand the resources available to victims. The Act further strengthens rights for abused immigrants, survivors of sexual harassments, and victims of dating abuse. Domestic abuse victims fleeing across state lines were able to secure custody orders without having to return to jurisdictions where they could be in danger, and security orders were better enforced across state and tribal lines. It also places a greater emphasis on access to programs for minorities, immigrants, and tribal and native peoples.
Now, why should I care about violence against women during COVID-19 period? No matter where, when, and how it occurs, violence against women is a gross breach of their human rights. There are several types of violence against women, all of which have the ability to harm women and their children's health. Injuries and severe physical, emotional, sexual, and reproductive health complications such as sexually transmitted diseases like HIV and unplanned pregnancies can result from violence against women. violence against women can lead to death in serious cases. Consequences of aggression are often long-lasting. Violence in all of its form has the potential to negatively affect a woman's health for the rest of her life. This is intolerably dangerous. And the threats of abuses faced by women and their children during the ongoing COVID-19 crisis must not be ignored. We help to protect women's human rights and encourages physical and mental health and well-being for women in their life. When we are able to avoid violence or assist women survivors of violence, this also relieves pressure on already overburdened critical public services such as healthcare system. That's all from us, guys. Signing off, PrivinKumar Jayavanan, matrix number 282605. Thank you very much.
Nowhere in the corridors of pale green and gray, nowhere in the suburbs in the cold light of day, there in the midst of it, so alive and alone, words support like bone, dreaming of Mercy Street, where you're inside out, dreaming of Mercy